It was past midnight when the last train to Greywood Station screeched into the platform. The air was thick with fog, the kind that makes everything feel slightly unreal. Emily clutched her small suitcase tightly, her fingers trembling from the cold, or maybe from something deeper. She had missed the earlier trains after a long day at work, and was now left with this train number 47, known among locals as the Midnight Line. Only the brave or the desperate take that one, the station guard had muttered before turning away. Emily laughed it off then, but as the doors hissed open and she stepped into the nearly empty compartment, she couldn't help but feel a chill crawl down her spine. Only 3 passengers sat scattered across the carriage: a young man in a hoodie, an elderly woman knitting something dark red, and a man in a black suit who stared out the window, unmoving. Emily took a seat by the window, trying to convince herself that the stories she'd heard were just urban legends. People said that the Midnight Line had vanished years ago in a tunnel accident, killing everyone aboard, and that sometimes the train still ran, carrying the lost souls who never found their way home. As the train lurched forward, she closed her eyes, exhausted. But sleep didn't come. Instead, a faint whisper reached her ear. "Don't fall asleep," someone said softly. Emily's eyes flew open. The hoodie guy was gone. The old woman was still knitting, but her hands were too fast, unnaturally fast. The man in the suit, still staring outside, motionless. The whisper came again, this time from behind her seat. "Don't fall asleep." She turned quickly, but no one was there. Just the dim lights flickering above her and the rhythmic sound of metal on tracks. Her heart pounded as the train entered a tunnel. Everything went dark for a moment. When the light returned, she gasped. The passengers were gone. Every seat was empty. She stood looking around, calling out, "Hello? Is anyone here?" Only her voice echoed back. Then, faintly, she heard a sob, a child's sob. Emily followed the sound to the far end of the carriage. A small boy sat there, his clothes old-fashioned, like something from the 1950s. He looked up at her with wide, frightened eyes. "They won't let us leave," he whispered. "Who?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. "The passengers," he said. "They don't like new people." The lights flickered again, and for a split second, Emily saw them. Dozens of faces staring from the windows, pale and hollow-eyed, pressed against the glass, as if trying to break through. When the lights steadied, they were gone. Emily grabbed the boy's hand. "We have to get off this train." He shook his head. "You can't. It doesn't stop anymore." Her pulse quickened as the train sped faster and faster. She could see the blackness of another tunnel ahead. But then something strange. She saw a figure standing in the middle of the tracks. A station guard waving a lantern. Emily ran to the emergency brake and pulled it with all her strength. Sparks flew. The sound of screeching metal filled the air, and the train shuddered violently before halting. The doors opened with a hiss, and cold night air rushed in. Without thinking, Emily grabbed the boy and stepped out. The moment her feet hit the platform, she turned to look back. The train was gone. Only empty tracks stretched out into the fog. Emily blinked, her heart hammering in disbelief. She looked down at the boy, but he was gone too. In his place lay a small, old photograph, faded and torn. It showed the same boy, smiling, standing next to a train labeled number 47. The back of the photo read, "Lost in the Greywood Tunnel, 1958. Emily sank to her knees, tears filling her eyes. The station was silent, except for the wind whistling through the broken signs. As dawn began to break, she heard footsteps. A modern-day guard approached, startled to see her. "Miss, are you okay? This station been closed for 50 years. Emily could barely speak. "The train, I was on it." The guard's face turned pale. "That's impossible. That train crashed decades ago." He led her away. But Emily looked back one last time at the old tracks disappearing into the mist. Deep down, she knew what she had felt, the fear, the cold hands, the voices. They were real. She later told her story to the authorities, but no one believed her. Still, every night, she'd dream of that little boy's voice echoing through the dark tunnels. "Don't fall asleep." And sometimes, when trains passed in the distance, she could swear she heard the faint screech of metal and the ghostly whistle of the midnight line, still running, still carrying souls who never made it home. Message: some journeys are not meant to be taken twice. The past has its ghosts, and sometimes the living must learn when to let them rest.